Thank you. I'm glad that so many people still here for the last talk. I don't need to ask all these questions that my colleagues before me asked, so who of you is developer and stuff. We are a young company from Austria, 10 people in size. And I'm not so much talking about tech today. I will come to that and I can show you some demos if you want. I will, for the end, I was thinking it could be of value from you to have a perspective of a value of a product. And I will talk a bit more about this IoT bubble and ecosystem stuff. So I'm talking from a startup perspective. So I'm CEO of a startup. It's visionary stuff that happened. We had to learn crucial things in the last several years. Now it's a stable little company. But I think this could be of interest of you when you go home then after this summit. So I will not speak for 45 minutes. I guess it will take just 20 minutes and get an overview how we see the world of modern products. I was talking a little bit about the company already. A little company which is highly focused on API integration. We'll talk about this later, of course. And using Qt. So we have some cool guys, so like tech lead of the Ubuntu phone when it still existed, and some other guys out of the canonical world. The original idea, so back in 2013, me and another founder, we were studying mechatronics and embedded systems, so close to hardware. Then we made an exchange semester to South Korea. We were experiencing people interacting with machines very different than we Europeans do. Like every machine is somehow connected, every machine is talking. And there we got this motivation, let's do something on our own, let's become self-employed and start a company in this field. Back then, in 2013, there was a new generation of products upcoming. Like there was the Nest thermostat, which has then been acquired by Google for 3 billion, which is way too much. There was Samsung smart things and all these new gadgets, like beyond the smart home gadgets, because they had their own intelligence. And we started to think about the problems. Okay, we are a young group, motivated group of programmers. What shall we do? There were some, or still are some very serious issues in the IoT market. So products, little Linux computers. They pop up regularly in the Hall of Shame, which is a website. You can Google it, the IoT Hall of Shame. Big companies are there, Samsung, Miele. It's a perfect overview for crappy devices. So this was an obvious problem we wanted to tackle. There was this thing of time to market. We saw hundreds of companies doing the same thing, like, do I use Debian, do I use Yocto, do I use Ubuntu Core? So let's go for some kind of OS, then go for a Linux or some kind of container system, if you are so far ahead. But it takes at least 1 or 2 years for a nice team of professionals to set up a product which has a nice continuous integration chain and is maintainable in a scale of thousands. It takes time. Of course, security, how to secure a proper device that has an underlying OS. And for us, mostly, there was the problem of interdependencies. Most devices or most applications in the market, this is, in German we say Insellösung, like these are little islands just connected to one server, like one thermostat is connected to the server of the manufacturer of the thermostat, or one car is connected to the server of the car company. So things are isolated, like everything has their own cloud. And this makes it a bit difficult to interact because you have to go to every vendor of every machine and ask them for permission to access the cloud and negotiate on some kind of authorization process, which is very tricky. But mostly we then saw the problem, like what I'm saying now means months and months of research, building products, failing and learning. But one of the most important parts of the IoT sector is that IoT stuff is useless. IoT is put as a value, but IoT just means connected device, right? Like device that is connected to the net with a virtual cable. But there is nothing ongoing, so there is no value, there is no application exchange. IoT means nothing. So, and we saw a lot of companies making somehow cool smartphone apps for their devices. Like, yeah, it's cool to control it, but after a week or two, you don't use it anymore. It just has no value. They build products, it takes them some million, mostly, and then it's a fail, economically seen. So, on the other hand, we saw smart homes like flats rented on Airbnb, or we see cars that are used by Uber and all that stuff. So we saw smart objects, smart devices that are utilized by companies who know how to make digital business. But at the end, let's say this is a thermostat from Honeywell, and this is the end user of Honeywell. They don't know each other normally. They're just platforms in between who know the user. So at the end, those guys make money and Honeywell doesn't. It's just an example. There's Fronius, whatever. Big companies that don't make money with new IoT business. So that's, besides all the tech stuff, one of the most obvious problems. After figuring out what's the problem in the IoT sector, so what is inside that IoT bubble, we saw, okay, yeah, we need a secure and reliable technical model, and we need to give them back, like we give back the power of economical value to the B2B customers. With that, these were the assumptions. Every company has assumptions, and then you build a product and you apply it to the market, and then you measure if it works. We started to do something in 2014. We started with a middleware that enables us to talk to different devices from different vendors using protocols and APIs, so like an API abstraction layer. This was the obvious need, but it was very technically driven. We did this for approximately a year. We have very good programmers, so luckily we have chosen Qt. Luckily we have chosen the edge as the main component of the whole stack. But we weren't able to make any kind of business out of that. So it was just not necessary at the moment. After that, we were thinking, yeah, well, the next logical step is let's make a cool hardware that we can integrate and apply this software that we just did. And we made a cool smart home gadget. Like the vision was make the BMW iDrive, like a multifunction knob, but for the room, with integrated gateway services that it can connect directly to whatever product, lights, heatings, and stuff. We pitched that to some investors, and actually it wasn't too bad, but we weren't satisfied with that. So we threw this away. And we had done a lot of software, I don't know, 20 man years or something of combined work, and several million, I guess, if you sum up the cost. And what we had then, we saw, okay, building hardware is difficult. So Dorotex doesn't love me now. Now, building hardware product is very difficult. I think the effort is 10 times more than you just do the software product. So we thought, okay, now let's play some crazy game. There is nothing like Android for the IoT sector. If you build a smartphone, you logically choose Android as your preferred OS because you don't start from scratch building a smartphone OS. So let's go the way and make an OS for IoT devices. Of course, there's Yocto and some kind of Linux distros, but there is not a key-turn solution for that, like Android pretty much is. So this is the vision. This was the vision. This still is the vision. We are not there, but we are going there. The vision is to create some kind of market standard for a proper IoT device. You're all experts. You know you will think this is crazy and it won't work, but like if you break down the vision a little bit, you come to an open WRT, like open source OS, or at least toolbox for IoT devices. And to sum it up, the whole process of learning was there is no universal machine language. Like there's the IP stack, of course, and then you have a lot of APIs, like application layers, but there is not this one API that sums up to control a lot of devices. There had been a lot of efforts in the market, a lot of cool stuff is going on, and a lot of companies died because they tried that, make a universal language for IoT devices. The next step was, let's make an OS. An OS naturally has its interfaces to have a multi, how do we put that, like one host, one master, and a lot of client OSs that organize themselves. This is already kind of decentralized little internet. And the last step is now, it's valid business and earns already good money. We tried to learn every kind of machine language, I call it like that, to devices. So out of our perspective, it's not a big thing anymore to have hundreds or thousands of protocols, APIs or whatever, virtual connector within a machine. So you make very, very independent and non-isolated products. You don't need smart home gateways, you don't need clouds to get a very new set of functions, which is, for example, for semi-industrial processes, extremely important. It's like a new hardware abstraction layer. A bit more simplified, there are now products in the market that run with, let's say, Alexa or the Google Cloud or whatever. And if everyone, like, you can see this is a product. If you want to run your product or it should be compatible to other ones, and you can exchange that clouds with every product you want, then you have to integrate everything by yourself, right? So the idea is to make a platform to simplify that. It should be as easy, or it is as easy for some examples, if you change on your smartphone from Netflix to YouTube. So this is changing a subscription for a device should be fairly easy. I think that is the plan for the future. And since it's based on Qt and very lean and very fast, and you can pack it into containers, it gives us a lot of new opportunities for devices, which are mainly, like the opportunity at the end is mostly a combination of products, like a smart lock and a presence detector for the smart home industry, or we have Fronius as a customer. They make photovoltaic inverters, like a photovoltaic system that controls heating pumps, and it saves a lot of energy by doing so. So these are real-world use cases then, and you need to be in the local network at least to do that. So this is now a very good differentiator to some cloud-based approaches which are similar. On our website you will find something like this. I have a device, I want to connect it to whatever protocol. So these are pretty low level now. You can just choose it and try if it works. I want to combine this and this and this and this, and the website says immediately yes, it works or not. The final stack then looks like this. On the very left side, you have the OS and you have nymea, which is just a cute application, actually, with a huge API, so you can control the whole thing. And then we run some kind of app store. We call it API store. It is more or less, if you're a B2B customer of nymea and you want to ship new connectors to your machines, you just upload object files, like shared libraries, files in a kind of store, and this is exchanged then with the machine, so the machine learns new protocols whenever you need it. And you don't have to change anything on your running system. On the right side, we have some smartphone clients and apps to try or to reuse. All the stuff is open source. I should mention that properly. Yeah, I mean, that's the point at the end. I think we have some very cool use cases in the market that seem not too obvious. At the end, we have some products that have a direct interaction with a consumer. That means Fronius, as an example, the PV system manufacturer, they now know their customers, so they can send new services, they can sell new services. Like, hey, there is a new heating pump available. Would you like to integrate that? We have this energy management service for you. This is a push notification. You just press yes, and you have a new IoT service running. So this is then the model on top of that. This was the whole story of changing our mindset from this smart home or gadget and tech-driven market to something like this. And one very simple example is, in Germany, we have a manufacturer of garage doors, very stupid and very simple product. It obviously has an app to open a garage door, but the most coolest thing is, if a delivery service comes, they can scan the code of the parcel and then it opens up by itself. So garage door becomes a letterbox, pretty much. So this is a service on top of that. Why using Qt? Because we have a lot of programmers that have been using Qt before, but for an integrated software gateway, I think it's the best option because it already has a plugin architecture, and it has a whole bunch of protocols integrated, like MQTT and CoAP. I think is not ready yet, but the standard things, even KNX if you need, and some other things, they're already implemented on a very high level. And cross-platform, so we have a lot of IMX6 and ARM, like V6 and V7 boards out there. We are maintaining more than 5,000 boards already, covered by some SLAs, and this is pretty much where our money comes from. And this is pretty much how the story ends until now. Yeah, thank you. If you have questions, was it understandable? Yeah, perfect. You can meet me out there and we can have a talk if you're in the need of connecting your device to other products or services.
Any questions? No? Oh, okay. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.